Welcome back to my channel. My name is Rae, and if you don't know, I post book content, some lifestyle content, and I absolutely love to read. Today's video is a really exciting one because we are doing a travel vlog. We are traveling to Charlottetown, PEI, which is Prince Edward Island. It's a small little island in Canada. This was a very last minute trip. Like booked the hotels today. Something came up that we have to travel into Charlottetown for, so I'm excited. I love Charlottetown. I love PEI, Brackley Beach, like all of that area. And I didn't get to go last year. We try to go once a year. We went to Halifax last year to explore that, so I'm really excited that we are going to PEI. This was something that wasn't planned, and I didn't know if we are gonna get to go this year or not, just because life is just so busy. But we're going, and I thought it might be fun to take you guys along with us. I'm excited to explore the bookstores. I'm excited to go to the restaurants, see the water. I didn't think I was gonna get the opportunity to go this year. I'm so grateful and excited that I get to do it. It is a very short trip, so we'll see how much we can pack into this, but I'm very excited. I love PEI. I have just fallen in love with the little island. I was thinking about bringing a Carley Fortune book to read there, just because I feel like reading a Carley Fortune book in PEI for one that's set in PEI sounds like the perfect thing to do. However, I am in the middle of a book for my May TBR. I'm not loving it so far. I'm reading Her Mother's Daughter by Leslie Crew. I was really excited for this book. However, I'm not loving it, and so I don't know if I want to continue that while I'm there. I think I might want to bring This Summer Will Be Different. I think that's one of Carley Fortune's books, but yeah, I'm not loving the book I'm reading right now, and I feel like I want to love the book that I'm reading, so I'm thinking I might bring that one with me as well and kind of just see what I'm in the mood for. Again, it's a very short trip. There's no way I'm even going to finish one book on this trip, but we'll see what happens. That's the reading update. I'm currently reading Her Mother's Daughter, thinking of bringing and reading my first Carley Fortune book on the island, and we'll see where it goes. As always, grab a favorite drink, grab a book, and come hang out with me in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. next day. We got back from PEI yesterday. It was a long trip back. It was just chaotic, hectic, but overall the trip was really fun. I had so much fun and it was so nice to be able to go because I feel like we fit so much into the short trip that we had. We made the most out of it and we did as much as we possibly could. And we were really only there for one full day, like morning to night. We were there for like a total of 3 days, but only one full day. The first day was a travel day, so we got there in the afternoon, and then the next day was a full day. And then the day back, we had the morning, and then we kind of head out around afternoon time. So we had like maybe 2 days altogether, a little bit less than that. But the full day that we had there, we made the most out of it. It was such a fun experience. And I'm just glad I got to go. And I feel like I got to do majority of the stuff on my PEI bucket list that I always like doing when I go there. So yeah, we definitely made the most out of it. We had a great time. I didn't end up finishing This Summer Will Be Different on the island. It was just a very busy trip in terms of just wanting to make sure that I saw everything that I wanted to see while I was there. I did read about 50 pages total, but that was basically on the car ride to the island. And then when we were there, it was obviously very busy. There was a lot going on. And then on the car ride back, I read a tiny little bit, and then I haven't read anything since. So we are going to continue this video into a reading vlog and finish that book in this video. But just in terms of the trip, I just wanted to say it was such a fun trip and I'm so happy that I got to go. And we just had like an overall really great experience being there and just being on the island. And we had such great weather. We lucked out so much, and it did rain a little bit one of the days, but it was not very long and we got a lot of sunshine. First day we got there, we went and just kind of explored Charlottetown a little bit, and then we got dinner and then went to bed. The next day my mom was leaving. She came with us on the trip. We just spent the day in Charlottetown. We drove around to a few areas. Me and my husband have talked about getting a cottage in PEI. I don't know if anybody else does this, but when you're driving around, do you ever just look for houses and cottages and things like that that are on sale and look them up online and everything? So that's what we were doing. We drove around to the areas where we potentially want to get a cottage and just kind of look to see if anything was on sale, kind of get an idea of the areas and where we might want to have a cottage. We've only really explored Charlottetown and up until like Brackley Beach area, Cove Head, that kind of area. We haven't explored either of the coasts of the island, so I feel like we're going to do that and travel a little bit more to each coast. Like I'd like to go to Summerside, and I would love to go to the other side of the coast and kind of just explore that area, because you never know what you're gonna end up really loving. Like I love Charlottetown and Brackley Beach area, but I might love other areas more. So we are gonna do some more exploring the next time that we go, which will probably at this point be next year, and just kind of explore different areas that we might wanna see and potentially get cottages in. We act like we have money. We don't have money to buy anything right now. We're still pretty young and it's our 20-year plan to eventually get a cottage there. But yeah, we drove around. It was really nice. We saw some really nice houses. There was this one area where it was right by like the water, right by the beaches and everything, and it was so nice. I have never been to PEI when it's been so empty. There was nobody in the bookstores. There was nobody on the beaches. So we really just had the entire beach to ourselves, which is just such a peak experience. Like it was so fun. And while we were there, we visited a couple spots in This Summer Will Be Different. When I was flipping through this, so I started reading it. I'm 52 pages in, so we haven't made a ton of progress since being home, but I am planning on finishing this up this week. But as I was flipping through, I saw that Carly had a map at the back of the book, and there was a few spots and stuff that she kind of highlighted throughout the island. So she just has like a lot of her favorite places, I guess, or places that she wants to go and hasn't visited yet. I've been in the Charlottetown area, so I've seen all the places that she's talked about there, and I've gone to PEI before, so I know those areas pretty well. But it was Thunder Cove Beach that really kind of got my husband's attention, because underneath Thunder Cove Beach, she wrote jaw-dropping cliffs. He loves cliffs. So we went to Thunder Cove Beach. We stayed there for a little bit. We hung out for maybe like an hour, maybe a little bit more. We have a little beach tent, so we set up our beach tent. I expected them to be a little bit bigger because I said jaw-dropping cliffs. They were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The beach was stunning. I really like that beach. I think I would go back again to that beach because it was just beautiful. But we had so much fun, and I got to see parts of this book come to life in PEI, and I just feel like that is such a peak reading experience, to experience the places in a book that the author's talking about in real life. It was just such a good time, and I just feel like this book, I couldn't have picked it up at a better time, and I'm loving her writing style. Like, this is my first ever Carley Fortune book, and I didn't know what to expect because I've heard mixed reviews on some of her books, and so I wasn't sure. I'm loving her writing style. It feels so real and raw, but also just, it's so relatable. And I don't know if that's just like the Canadian in me who has been to a lot of these places, and so I'm able to relate to it more, and I'm able to picture things in my head, like Toronto, PEI. I know those places really well, and so it was just such a peak reading experience, and I'm really excited to continue this book and see where it goes. I'm really enjoying it so far. So we're off to a great start for my first Carley Fortune book. I had such a great time, and to experience it with my family and people that I love, it was so fun. Morning we left, we went to the beaches, and we went to the bookstore Indigo that's in the Charlottetown area. It's pretty nice. It's like a good size. It's big. We went in on a Sunday at like 6 p.m. Nobody in the store besides me and my family. It was really fun. I've never been to an Indigo where it's been that empty. I actually didn't end up buying any books, surprisingly. I'm shocked too, but I kind of was just feeling like the book buying burnout, and I didn't want to add anything to my TBR right now. I feel like I'm doing a really good job at reading my physical TBR, and I want to stay on that groove. I ended up picking up a game. It was Survivor. I love Survivor. I've been watching it ever since I can remember. My mom used to watch it from like season 1. Then I started watching it with her as soon as I could, and we always had this tradition of watching Survivor and eating Haagen-Dazs. That was kind kind of like something that we always did. Currently watching season 50. Crazy that there's 50 seasons out. I love that show. They had a card game for Survivor, and I've never seen a game for Survivor before. I picked up and I was like, immediately, yes, I'm bringing this home because I'm such an avid Survivor fan. Like for one of my birthdays and Christmases, I got a Survivor buff and a mug, and that was just like such a peak experience. I also saw a game for the Traders, but I didn't want to spend like $100 on games altogether that day, but I would love to play the Traders game too. I think that would be so much fun. I think that's like on my list of next to get. Thanks for coming along to PEI with me, and we will get straight into the reading vlogs. We'll see where the rest of the video takes us. It's been about a month, if not more, since I last talked to you. Here we are sitting down about a month and a bit later talking about it. I have not had time to talk about it, so I'm excited to tell you my thoughts and feelings about this. I ended up landing on a 4 out of 5 stars. The main reason for that was I was finding that the book at certain parts was getting quite repetitive, and I felt like we had been given information that we didn't need to be given multiple times throughout the book, and it wasn't in a bad way or anything like that. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, get to the point. It was more so just like, I've already heard this, I've taken this information, I don't need to be reminded again, so it just felt a little bit unnecessary, and that's what kind of knocked that last star off for me. But I really did overall enjoy this book. I don't think I've read many books that are set in Canada, and being someone who's Canadian, seeing the places that I visited and I've seen in a book was such a cool experience. And I think that that's what made me feel really connected to the book. Is it takes place in Toronto and Prince Edward Island, which are 2 places in Canada, and I've been to both. I love both places so much. I just felt like there was so much I could relate to. So essentially we are following our FMC Lucy, and Lucy goes to Prince Edward Island one summer. She meets her MMC and she has this really memorable night. Something happens. There's a trope in the book which I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to spoil it, because I went in not knowing the trope that was in the book, and I was genuinely shocked at the outcome of how the story kind of started. I won't tell you the trope in the book, but she has a memorable night with her MMC, and they do have a complicated relationship dynamic between our FMC and MMC because of this external dynamic. Because of that dynamic, they have to make this promise to kind of keep their space from one another and not be as close. At the same time, Lucy's best friend Bridget, she is going through something in her life where she's in the middle of wedding planning, and all of a sudden she runs away to PEI and asks Lucy to come with her. So Lucy gets up and goes to PEI because that's her best friend. She'll do anything for her best friend. When she's there, she finds it harder and harder to keep her distance from the MMC, and so they're trying to navigate this dynamic between them. And we're getting a lot of past and present timelines, so we're seeing the past and how the relationship started and things that happened up until the present moment and what's going on. So there's a little bit of a mystery element, trying to figure out what happened between our FMC and MMC, while also trying to figure out what happens with Lucy's best friend and what's going on with her and her wedding. We're getting 2 kind of different storylines. Obviously one's more at the forefront of the story than the other one. There's a lot of complicated relationship dynamics, friendship dynamics throughout the book. I really enjoyed Carley Fortune's writing style. This is the first book I've ever read by her, and so I didn't really know what I was going to get into, because I know I've heard mixed reviews about her books before, but I think just being someone from Canada, seeing all these places in the book that I know was just such a fresh breath of air. Just like knowing the places she's talking about, I think I was able to relate to the book a little bit more, which is why I gave it a 4 out of 5. I like the way that she writes feelings and emotions. There was a quote in here, and this is completely a spoiler-free quote. It's out of context, but if you're someone who doesn't like hearing any quotes from books, it happens on page 8. Then you can skip over by like 10 seconds. But she says, "Fresh ocean salt hit my tongue, and with it a memory." The description of that in itself just felt like it's bringing you into the story. Like she's really pulling you into it to make you feel things. I think she did that really well. But my only little tip with it was that it did get repetitive at certain points in the book. I felt like we were hearing the same things over and over again at a certain point. That was my only little tip with it. But other than that, I really enjoyed the book. I liked her writing style. I'm excited to get into more of her books. I'm reading one of her other books right now. I did really enjoy it. It was so atmospheric because I was reading it while being in PEI, and a lot of the places that she was talking about I had visited recently while I was reading it, and so it was really cool to just bring that to life again in my head. What's really cool is that she has this little map at the end of the book with some highlighted places that are talked about within the book, but also places that she really likes. Like she says here, "I visited Prince Edward Island 3 times, and each time I find new spots that I love. While I won't claim to be an expert on the island, I couldn't fit all my favorite places on this map. I did want to share some of the locations that you've read about, and this summer will be different. A few of my must-see sites and 2 spots that are still on my bucket list, which is the famed Blue Mussel Cafe and the Inn at Bay Fortune. But honestly, whatever you travel to on PEI, you can't really go wrong." So that's kind of her little map of her favorite places she wants to go. I actually visited Thunder Cove Beach, which you saw in the video where I was at like the cliffs, and I was showing like the map of the book and then the cliffs. So I visited that, and there were some parts on here that I didn't know about, so we did visit while we were there. So it was cool to kind of use this as like a benchmark to go see new places that I haven't seen. Usually when I'm there, I'm around the Charlottetown area, Brackley Beach area, and that's kind of like the extent that I go between those 2 places. But we did drive around a little bit more, and it was really nice. I would love to go coast to coast on the island. Island at some point, go and spend some time on one side and then the other side. But all in all, the trip was so fun. I had so much fun, and I'm so glad that I got to go because I didn't know if I was going to get the opportunity to go this year. And PEI is just a place that I really love, and I love being able to go to once a year. I would go more if I could, but I just don't have the time right now. Overall, this book was an incredible experience. Being able to read it while I was in PEI just gave such an atmospheric reading experience and just such a unique reading experience to it. So those are the reasons why I really loved this book. There are some mixed opinions about a lot of her books. I could see why someone might not connect to it as well. I think that connection of being Canadian and actually knowing these places and knowing exactly what she's talking about and just loving PEI as much as I do really made me fall in love with this story. So I am excited to get into more of her other books and see how her other stories are and see if I connect just as well with those, having known the places that she writes about, like Toronto, Muskoka, Tofino, PEI. I love that I've seen those places before and I know them well enough to be able to connect to stories in that way. So those are my final thoughts about the trip, the book, everything. If you stayed this long, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with my content, and I hope to see you in the next one.